But what is going on, All-Terrain Nation? Whether it be two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, it does not matter what you drive because this is your All-Terrain Nation. And I'm your host, David Boyd, alongside the co-host extraordinaire, Daniel, the Don't F With Me Groders. And Danny is full of... Danny, this is a packed show, man, because you've got Adventure Talk. You were out, spent the couple days out in Johnson Valley. We've got a big time guest here tonight, Dan. We got some people, man. We know people, Dan. And but we've got Mr. Kevin Minne is going to be on here in just a minute. And if you don't know Kevin, I don't know how you don't know Kevin because he's been a follower of the show for quite a while, and he's been in the chats. And it's like there's the Dan and Dave show, and then there's the Kevin show in the chats because Kevin's got his own audience over there, and it's kind of awesome.
Yeah, no, there's some great stuff, and actually I've noticed it kind of bleeding over into some of my Instagram and stuff. B. Warren hopped on my Instagram, was it earlier today, or maybe no? He commented on one of my YouTube videos. He's like, "Oh, that's sweet. You saw the first IFS Jeep out in Johnson Valley. Just like shot the zinger out."
Early
B. Warren's
zingers.
always good for B. Warren's always good for a zinger. And you know, we have a great crew. Smitty's Garage is in here. Smitty's Garage is dropping all kinds of great stuff all over the social medias. He's doing really cool, fun stuff.
I know, man.
Kelly Degler is here. Joey Japan. I don't know Joey Japan.
Dude, that's
is
Joe
he been
Taylor.
around a little bit?
That's Joe Taylor, man.
Oh, he just switched it up. My bad.
did.
What's up, Joe?
But we've got a lot of big names. Guys, you know the drill, man. Smash the like button. Once again, all that, when I beg you to do that, it's just if Google recognizes and YouTube recognizes that you like certain content, then it's a spider web. They're trying to shoot it out. Hey, this guy likes it. You might, draw some people in. So if you like what we do, share the fun here. And so tonight we're going to bring Kevin in just a second because I think a lot of people think that dealers just kind of screw over people and that they don't really get any kind of training, and whether it's from just poor dealerships in general, they always want to blame, well, Nissan, they don't do this, or any manufacturer, they don't do this. And we're here to prove the record straight on that because let's go ahead and bring Mr. Kevin in. Kevin, what is going on, man?
Hey, how you doing?
Doing good, man. Besides that M on your chest, I'm doing great.
Go blue.
But we got hockey. It's a double hockey, so that's why we're on the opposite ends here, Kevin. I'm on one end, you're on that one end, so we don't fight, okay? And Danny's got the stop sign in between us to tell us not to fight. But
if I point here, that means you guys got to chill it out a little bit.
But anyway,
no, I'm happy to be here.
Well, we're happy to have you on. So Kevin,
looks like.
Oh, go ahead, Dan.
He froze.
Oh, there you are. Go ahead, Danny.
Oh, I was just gonna say that we got the El Presidente is in the house today. Steven Breslin is here.
Wow.
Stefan Breslin, as we like to call him. But he's one of the bigwigs, and Wahoo Mobile is streaming us in his shop on the big screen. So I'm feeling pretty proud. I probably got my big mug front and center. I love streaming stuff in my garage. Let me just tell you, I got a 65-inch up on my wall for when I'm out in the garage working on the trucks and stuff, and I love putting on YouTube videos and stuff. So I feel proud that I'm the actual guy on the screen now, trying to provide some kind of smiles and fun.
Well, and we appreciate the new background, Danny. It looks a lot better than the RIP background that you had.
Yeah, this
earlier.
is it's perfect for my life. This is my life behind me. It's just, the action suits over here. You got a stop sign that was from, like, this is a literal Chicago stop sign that I got from a guy named Lou DeCorio, who's a cop out there. He gave me a stop sign the day that I picked up the white Xterra. I got this sign as a token of his appreciation for our old Air Force buddy. Mint 400 thing. I'm just kind of all over the place, a little bit of a mess, but that's it's working for me for the last 39 years. So
right. Well, and first off, you guys know the drill. Danny, what is in your glass tonight?
Oh, actually, I'm cracking open a freshie. I'm running the Coors tonight.
The Silver Bullet game. Huh?
So hopefully I won't be drunk by minute 10 of the show this time. I apologize if I get a little little spiced up too quick for you boys out there. But
Well,
hopefully all the guys listening are drinking as well.
Kevin, do you got anything in your glass tonight, man? Anything fun?
No, not fun. Just I got a beer. I don't usually drink Bud Light, but it's a Bud Platinum.
Oh,
Ooh,
classy. You classy bitch.
I have no liquor in the house.
Oh, no.
Well, right now.
Well, I have lots of liquor, but because of you guys, I got to show you guys. All right, so this this has been sitting for me for 2 weeks. I went and bought it the day after you guys went nuts on the stream with all the super chats. Once again, thank you very much for that. But it's been sitting right next to my desk here and just staring at me, and I've been itching to try this. Now, it's not the Frank Sinatra, but it was still pretty freaking expensive. Tonight we are going to go with a smooth Jack Daniel's number 27 Gold. Dan, it is a maple wood finish. It's a Tennessee whiskey, buddy. So I told you guys,
classier, bitch.
I was not opening this thing till on the show. So, and I will only enjoy this on the show because you guys basically bought this. So once again, but Dan, so let's kick this off with Kevin here. Kevin, I know a lot of people here know who you are because you're a big deal. But for somebody that didn't know what you do for Nissan, kind of explain your situation, man.
All right. So what I do is I'm actually basically a product trainer, what we call facilitator trainer in the industry. And what we do is we go around to the dealers and we train the sales consultants on the product. Not necessarily how to sell it. Once in a while we do soft sales skills, but that's not my bag really. But it's mostly product training, and we teach the sales consultants the features, how they work, technology, common vehicle systems, things like that. So so that's what we do. And there's at least for Nissan, I think there's 19 of us, and we all have a certain territory. My territory happens to be, even though I live in Los Angeles, my territory happens to be South Texas. So Houston, San Antonio, Austin, Corpus Christi, and I'm on a plane every Monday and Thursday.
Well, so COVID life has probably been amazing for you, other than the fact that we all know that you got it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Like just the travel in general has to be like a nightmare for you right now, right?
Well, I don't know. When you say nightmare, I don't know what you mean by that, because I've been traveling for close to 25 years, so I'm used to it. I travel so much that honestly, luckily I'm always, I got status, so I'm always in first class.
Right.
And
Well,
blah,
clearly
blah, blah,
you're a Bud Light Platinum guy, man. You've got status.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I travel a lot. I love my job. It's a great job. I love it. I actually love it. I love going to work. I'm paid pretty well, and I'm good at what I do. So,
well, that's good to hear. Because if you would have said I'm not very good at what I do, I'd be a little worried. I don't know what I'm doing, but they keep paying me, so I just fly. No, but seriously,
it's kind of the opposite of my job, Dave. I don't know what I'm doing usually. They keep paying me. I don't like it a lot, but I keep showing up and they keep paying me. So.
But but with COVID initially, like they shut, like people weren't doing anything. So like you were probably on your thumbs for a minute.
We did. We got shut down last. I think it was middle of March. I was actually on my way to go to Seattle when I covered that area, and they said, no, we're shutting it down. And we were basically shut down for not doing any training for at least about 2 months. And fortunately, we're on salary, but we had to do some work, at home and blah, that. But then we went virtual. I believe in June, May and June. We actually went virtual. Just dropped everything, and we just kind of everyone learned it, and we did really well at it. So we went virtual until I think end of August. Then we went back into the dealers.
So that had to be kind of a new experience for Rogue dropping, because Rogue drops around that time, and you can't show dealers, literally show them anything.
Well, it was basically the timing worked out when the new Rogue was released, or when we needed to go and not released, but when when we got back on the road, it was like, okay, the Rogue's ready, let's go. So that's when we went back and started training on the Rogue about 2 months before, well, about 6-7 weeks before it was released, actually.
Wow.
So, yeah.
But so your guys are kind of full strength again. You're back on the road dogs, and just doing what you do. So, so when a person like you, so you get the vehicle a few weeks before you start heading out, right? Like you got to be familiar with the product you're trying to preach to, right?
Yeah, we usually get it about a week to 10 days before we drive, have to drive it.
Right.
I'm in a little bit different situation because the other facilitators usually train in the areas they live. I'm a bit of an anomaly. I live in LA, but I fly every week, and my territory is South Texas. So honestly, for me, it's a little different. When I fly in that first week of training on a Monday, they transport the car from Tennessee, and the vehicle is sitting there on Monday morning. I get it. It's like, okay, I know I've learned about it, on paper, but it's like, okay, now I'm in the car, which that's your really real learning experience, when you're in the car.
Right. And so you never, I guess you have some Nissan product at home. So you're basically, you put a vehicle in storage and fly it home and then come back and pick it up and go take it out again?
Exactly. So right now we haven't, we launched the new Rogue, but we get a program vehicle for the year. Mm-hmm. So I just got a brand new 21 Rogue Platinum, and we get because we're not always launching new cars every session.
Right.
Like the session we're starting next week, it's actually it's not the most exciting, but it's like soft sales skills and talking about key KPI and their key performance indicator and their surveys, which they never like to talk about. It's kind of, honestly, it's not product, which I love to train on product, but yeah. So I have a program car, and I try not to park it at the parking at the hotel. At the airport, but sometimes I can finagle it at the hotel. I'll leave it, like the car is sitting at a hotel right now, so I'm getting free parking. But I'm going back, and I got one night there. And when I get in, I'll cancel and take my car and leave.
Wow! So you're the guy that basically gets all the cool new product, and you're driving around, and you're getting people staring at you like crazy, trying to figure out what you're driving instantly, right?
Yeah. That's the fun part, because I can't wait for the Pathfinder and the new Frontier. I'll be driving that before anyone sees it, and I'll be we're out on the road, and we in the past and some of these new launches. We get stopped a lot, like, what's that? So. But,
well, our buddy Joey
Parent. Why don't you drive that Pathfinder? I was going to say, why don't you drive that Pathfinder right over to my place and show my wife so I can get her to buy one?
That's right. That's right, Danny.
That's the ultimate sales pitch right there. Hey, I brought somebody from Nissan with it. Buy it, please. Our buddy Joey Parent says hi from Boulder Nissan, Kevin. I don't know if you remember Joey or not. The blueberry, as it were.
Oh, speaking of Joey Parent, Dave, I got a couple quips, a couple quick things on Joey, because we've had a lot of correspondence and phone / cross country bro things going on about when I went to test my race truck. I actually stopped on my way home and test drove that new Datsun 720 620 that he bought. I don't know if you've seen it, Dave, on his Instagram. He's got a beautiful dark gray and with like lots of carbon fiber accents. So I got to go and drive that because the guy that was selling it was out here.
Nice.
So that was super cool. It's such a rad truck. It's a really, really, really clean truck. The guy that did it all up did a really good job. He was pretty meticulous. And then on top of that, I got a extremely awesome fiberglass hood because the guy drove the truck out to Joey out in Colorado, dropped it off, and then on his way back he brought me back a super sweet full cowl induction hood for the race truck. So it's actually sitting on my truck right now. I haven't bolted it in yet or whatever, but yeah, me and Joey have kind of been chatting a lot. It's probably the most me and Joey have talked in the last couple of years since we haven't been able to hang out in person. So
well, for and a second, I have to say this is a nice drink, guys. So thank you very much for the drink. But so Kevin, you say you fly out a lot, man. You you must be used to nice room service, and I mean, I'm sure you're a platinum Bud Light guy, so it's only the most fine dining in hotel stays, right?
Hampton Inn, buddy. No, I try to upgrade to Hilton Garden, and I don't know. I stay at Hilton Properties, and I mean, we have a budget we have to stay in, so I mean, I can't be sitting at the Ritz, right?
Wait, so you're not drinking platinum all the time? Jeez.
Oh, I'm actually a beer snob. I don't usually drink. I love English ales.
Wow.
Nice. I'm there with you. This is my garage beer, so that I don't get too drunk while I'm fixing all my cars. And when I open like 6 of them, lose them, and half of them are half full, I don't feel so bad about dropping $10 on a 30 pack or whatever.
Well, Dan, I can tell that you're not into sponsorship because you didn't do it properly. You didn't go, this is my drink of choice. And
I'm not proud of my Coors.
So your white Xterra turns into the silver bullet, man. Come on, bro. Gotta get it right. But so Kevin, you clearly you're from Michigan because you got a big M on your chest. You've got the Red Wings on your beer there, man. What led you down this path of going, you know what? Cars are my future. Where did this all start?
Wow. Well, number one, being from Detroit, I think it's encoded in our DNA.
Yeah.
Number two, it's not a long story, but what's funny you say that because I get that question in being in dealerships because I think sales consultants, especially I think the average age now for sales consultants, I'd have to say it's like 26.
Wow.
It's young. So I'm dealing with a lot of younger people.
So you're what, 29? You're 29 is what you're saying, right?
Yeah, I'm 29.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a young man's game.
Yeah. No, but I get a lot of times after class or after a session, I can't tell you how many times, someone will come up to me and say, hey, man, how do I get your job?
I'm not telling you.
Yeah, really. Well, it's a tight-knit community, and honestly, Nissan is one of the only OEMs that do this full-time. Every manufacturer has trainers that go in for new vehicle launches, or maybe they only go in like 3 times, 4 times a year. We're consistent, and we're I think the only manufacturer that is full-time. But I get so many people say, how did you get into that? How do you do that? And it's like, God, it's a long story. And basically I say, in which I tell anyone, I said, you kind of fall into it. What I did is how I started this is when I was in Michigan, back when I was in my early 30s, I was actually approached by a talent agency, and she wanted to sign me in to do like print work and commercial work in the Midwest. And I signed on with her, and I was actually working at a restaurant part-time, doing print work, doing with this talent agent, and they had a lot of automotive clients. So they signed me on to actually work. I think my first job was with Cadillac.
Oh, wow.
And what they call, when you go to the auto show, there's like product specialists on the floor. Yeah. And then there's the person on the turntable. Yep. Well, I was the person on the turntable. Good evening. How you doing? Welcome to the Los Angeles International Auto Show. All that kind of stuff. So I did that. I think the first year I worked for Cadillac, and I'm just telling you, this is how I fell into it. And then I worked 1 year at Cadillac, and then I got hired by Lexus, and I worked 8 years for Lexus. And I did this for about 15 years, and I worked for Ford Trucks, GM, Hyundai, and everyone that does the auto shows. I'll tell you a little secret. Everyone that does the auto shows, their ultimate goal is to do in-dealer facilitation.
Really?
Yeah, because it pays like 3 times as much.
Right. Well, from what I know of a lot of auto shows too, is they're local hired helps at some points, like that they find some pretty people that sometimes that they go.
Do you call me pretty?
Of course, sir. Of course. We only insult our guests
in your
after
prime.
We only insult our guests after they leave the show, Kevin, okay?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, Dave.
No, I mean, there are local, for auto shows, because I did them for so many years, there's a couple, like 3 or 4 big agencies, and most of them are in Michigan, of course, in Detroit. But they do hire locally, but they also, they have a lot of people that they've over the years, they got kind of a stall of people, hundreds of people. Then a lot of them are from Detroit.
Nice.
And they kind of tour around. For the season. You get like, hey, I got 10 cities this year, but they do pick and choose. They do get people locally also.
Right. Okay.
So that's kind of how I fell into it. And then I was, a couple friends of mine that I worked with over the years, actually got jobs as doing facilitation in dealer. And it's really word of mouth. And it's like, it's really who you know, honestly.
Sure.
And, it's like these guys ask me, how do you do that? It's not like you can go to school and say, I want to be a facilitator, get your degree in facilitation. It doesn't work like that. So that's kind of how I fell into it. And I've been with, I started out doing BMW for a year, my first year, and this was about 13 years ago. I did BMW for 1 year in dealer. And then I did Ford trucks for a year, and then I was hired by Nissan. I've been with them for almost 11 years now.
So did Nissan? Did you just pop up on their radar, or how? Like it's none of our business exactly how the money came under the table, and they're like, hey, we need your expertise. No, I'm playing. But do they like? Are these companies pursuing people like you for these jobs? I mean, are they keep like a talent out there?
No. I again, it's who you know. I mean, I had a really good friend of mine that knew somebody that got him in working for Nissan, and he was there for about, I think he was there for 3 or 4 months, and they needed someone in DC, and they were having trouble filling the DC market because the guy got fired or something. And one of my best friends was hired. He was there for like 6 months, and hey, I know this guy, he might want it. So they interviewed me. They said, okay, and I'm still living in LA. They said, do you want the job? I said, yeah, of course. But I had to be like, my home market was DC. So
wow.
I had to actually, I remember telling my wife at the time, it's like, I got to be in DC for like 2 to 3 weeks at a time. And that was rough for the first 3 years. So I got in from a friend of mine,
So
and I've actually,
it sounds like you're part of the Congress or Senate. You're only in DC for a couple weeks at a time, and then you go home.
No, I was glad to get out of there. But I've actually got the company that we work with. I'm an independent contractor. This is another company I work with, and of course, Nissan's their client, and they're based in Franklin too. So I've actually gotten 3 of my friends that are in the industry. I actually got them jobs with the same company I work for.
Right.
So
you were coming into Nissan about when? You said 13 years ago. So
no, it's 11 years.
Okay. So in the mid 2000s, things were looking fairly good.
2010, I think.
Oh, really? I guess I need to do some math, man. But so you're kind of in the down cycle when the economy's at the lowest point, then, right?
And when I first came into Nissan, the company as a whole was kind of going they were coming. There was a recession, right?
Right.
But when I came in, that's when they started bringing out some newer product. That's your new Altima and your I can't all the vehicles
would have been around that time, and Pathfinder.
Yeah, I mean, so I came in at a pretty good time, and then of course we kind of hit that lull of everything looks the same, and now it's an exciting time, with the Nissan Next and all that, and all the new vehicles and.
Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff coming out, so I imagine there's a lot of work you guys are going to be doing between what the stuff that they've launched recently, just like you said with the Next, and then I'm sure Z is going to be a huge thing for them. They're going to want to probably do a lot of stuff with the Z. So that's I'm sure
the only thing with the Z though, Danny, with the Z though, it's not a core vehicle. It's like we don't train. Unfortunately, we don't train on the GTR.
Wow.
We don't train on the. Yeah, it's not a core vehicle.
So does that mean they have?
We don't get the
style.
Do they get a specialist then? Somebody that just for that one vehicle?
Yeah, there's. We have a couple people that actually can. They're GTR certified, and they go around because not every Nissan dealer, as you know, can sell a GTR.
Right.
I believe you can sell, Z, but you can't sell a GTR, so they got to be GTR certified. So there's one or two people. I think the guy, Colin, my friend, he lives in England. He comes over and trains them. I think he does that once a year, maybe once every 2 years. So yeah, unfortunately, we don't train on the Z or the GTR. That'd be great to drive a GTR around for 3 months.
Right. Well, the people at the plant here can lease them as part of, working for Nissan. They can do short-term lease, and they do like a 6-month lease on those things. And now it's $600 or $700 a month, which a normal lease is for those guys is a couple $100. So it's pricey, but they're like 36,000. It's a year's worth of miles you can put on that car in 6 months, man. And I see a lot of GTR. Like Danny will tell me, "Hey, I saw a GTR today," and I'm like, "What? I've seen like 4 of them here. I don't know what the deal is with those things."
Yeah, so I wish we'd trained on those, but like Danny was saying, we got some nice product coming up. We launched we had that Rogue, which was a great. I really liked the vehicle. It was a great vehicle. And then we kind of we had a little Christmas break, and then so Kevin could get sick, but. Wow. And then we're now, like I said, we just trained this past week, what we call our T3, Train the Trainer. We're going out Monday for, I think, 7 weeks. Again, it's not a new product launch, but we all can't wait to get through this and then get to that new Pathfinder, do that, and then we got the Frontier. I mean, the Pathfinder, I'm really looking forward to it because it's a great vehicle and I've seen it, but I can't wait to get into that Frontier. And get to drive the Frontier around for 2.5 months.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. In person, would you say that the Pathfinder is kind of better, even better in person? Does it look, because you see stuff on the internet and whatnot, like we've been seeing. Do you think better in person or same as what we're seeing, or?
Personally, I think it's better in person. It's just like the Rogue. When I first saw the Rogue pictures before I even saw it, I thought, that's cool. That looks nice.
Yeah.
But when I saw the Rogue in person, it was like I was blown away.
Right.
So I think it's going to be the same thing. I mean, it is the same thing with the Pathfinder. When I briefly saw it, I remember they took us in this secret room, took our phones away, and here it is. So we had like I don't know, 5 minutes, and but it's even better in person. So. I think the same will go across, even when we get to the Frontier. I mean, I honestly, when they revealed it, remember on your show here, I was there watching, and I look forward to it. I think they did a good job on it. I know I might be a little biased, but I think they did a good job of it, what I saw, and I can't wait to drive it.
Well, speaking of a bias with that, so let's get into Frontier just for a minute. And obviously, there's nothing like. You don't have a vehicle in hand. It's not like you can break it all down. But the top thing that I'm seeing right now is it being compared to the Tacoma, and it scratches my head a little bit. Other than like there is a basic shape to every truck now. There's requirements. The hoods have to be so long due to federal guidelines. Like it's getting to a point where you're just going to get sort of a rectangle to drive. So
I think it's a profile.
Yeah, past that. And the color, I think that Nissan should have done the Rapid or the red, whatever their fire engine red is, instead of the color they chose. But past the color, I don't see the comparison to the Tacoma. But I'm curious what your take is on that.
The only thing I see with the Tacoma is when you look at it on a profile, is I think it's the front headlight, right, Danny? Yeah.
Yeah.
That front, the way it's shaped, and the stamped tailgate.
Yeah. I'm 100% with you there. I share a text message group with nothing but Toyota. They're all Toyota guys. We're all just like overland off-road buddies, but they were hassling me big time about how it looked just like a Tacoma. And I think Dave is spot on with the fact that they came out with that battleship gray color, which is kind of like one of the big one of the big Toyota colors. For me, I see it everywhere. That battleship gray tone.
They've had that color for a while too.
Yeah. So they, I think they should have probably thrown a different color on it, but I totally agree. And because they sent me like pictures of both, they're like, you got to admit it looks just like, and I was like, I see it just like you're saying, right in that front area, and from the front and from the side profile, you definitely get a little bit of those vibes. But as far as the overall truck looks, I don't think it's I don't think it's so close as to be like, oh, it's it's some kind of weird ripoff.
It'd be
I don't think so
interesting
at
to
all.
see Ranger, all three of the new trucks, Ranger, Tacoma, and Frontier together, because I guarantee they, just due to safety standards now, there's certain requirements that they have to have, and I'm sorry, a flat-nosed, long hood truck is part of those requirements. So what can you do? The days of like the old Camaros with the pointy nose and stuff are gone, just because because pedestrian, you can't hit a pedestrian with a car like that anymore. They have to be kind of a flat-nosed vehicle.
Well, remember, now I'm dating myself, but remember the hood ornaments?
Yes.
That you could, they had the spring in them. You could bend them and stuff.
Yeah. So those days are gone, man.
The big Cadillac.
The spear, yeah, it's like a lady pointing out in front of the hood with like a spear, looking to destroy someone's abdomen.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, like, other than a basic outline, I mean, do you see, obviously Tacoma's the king of the hill, so you got to shoot for the king every once in a while. And the one thing that, and I mentioned it in that live show, was the only thing that I think Nissan missed was crawl control. Other than that, I think it's the most modern looking vehicle out there in that segment.
Yeah, I really like the interior too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
And like I said, I think it's going to look better in person. I think when you see that car in person in three dimension, you're going to like, wow.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you on that.
Well, and obviously you can't crap on Nissan too much since it's your employer of sorts, but where do you think that they kind of like could have done better in that reveal? Because you sell the product, you take it to dealers.
Oh, the reveal.
Yeah. And I only ask that is because you're the guy, you're next in line. So you'll get the vehicle and take it to dealers and kind of show them. And where do you feel like, as somebody in your job, you're going, man, I'm going to get nailed with this because they didn't set the tone early?
I think the reveal was good enough. I mean, Allison's a great spokesperson for the company,
right?
As in marketing and all that. Eddie George, Tim Tebow. I mean, they're good at what they do. But I was hoping to see like maybe at the very beginning, like maybe a live shot of somewhere out in the desert, and then do it like it's flying around, and then all of a sudden I think they were in this big. It looked like they were in a big hangar, and then doing this it didn't have to be a live shot, but this thing flying around, and then the doors open, and then it looks like they were out on the outside bringing it in, and they bring it in.
Yeah,
something like that, because you want to, you're trying to appeal to, the guys and girls that take these things off road,
Right.
I mean, it's not just off road, but it's
no, but the truck segment is like that.
The idea of having a vehicle like that, and when we were doing the live reveal, we had just come off of the Raptor reveal, which was, I mean, they were sending that thing over, they were skyrocketing that thing, and then Nissan, to me, I felt like they didn't quite have enough of the truck doing cool truck stuff, whether it's off-roading or towing or whatever, I completely agree with you. They should have just given it a little bit more like, this truck can do everything. It's awesome. Here's all these awesome live shots. And I think, having the reveal like come right off of that, I think that would have been a perfect way to intro it. Be like, yeah.
Well, and part of it is it was kind of like the Warrior reveal, Dan. They just showed you pictures of it, and it's sort of slowly moving. Obviously, the Warrior, I've spent time in that thing, and it's a complete concept, which I have a feeling the truck that they had in studio was a complete concept. I don't think that was a real actual truck that could do real truck things. I think, and not crapping on Nissan, Kevin, but I think that with COVID and everything, this just pushed them so behind, and Nissan had to get, they're like 17 years now or whatever the number is. Like, they had to get out in front of that and be like, hey, man, we've got it coming. I just don't think they were ready, Dan, to actually do truck things.
They can still do it.
Well, I would tell you with COVID, I mean, it pushed everything back. And if there wasn't for COVID, we would have been seeing this Frontier. We would have saw it this past September.
Yeah.
And we would have been, everyone would have been, it would have been in the dealers for 6 months by now.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Yeah, and that, what we had talked about that probably a million times leading up to it, especially when we saw that the 2020 Frontier with the new motor and trans, right? Which of course was the weirdest thing ever. But and then we're like, all right, you know what? That they're running this thing through. They want to run this motor and trans for a little bit, and tied people over for their new truck. And then of course it just pushed and pushed and pushed, and we're like, yeah, we understand why it's not coming out quite so quickly.
Right, and I think obviously we deal with a lot of the enthusiasts, so their patience is worn thin. If they don't get something new every year, they're and they think the enthusiast crowd thinks that they are the voice of everybody that buys a Frontier, and in reality, they're like 2% of the actual voice that Nissan would ever listen to. But I will say, yeah, it was a head scratcher when they dropped the new motor and transmission into the old body style, and I think I've said it many times, Kevin, that Nissan has an accidental issue with timing. They for whatever reason, the gods or whatever, just every time Nissan's ready to do something, weird crap happens. And of course, I was at the auto show there in Chicago for the reveal of this thing, and there was a lot of excitement about it. And then 2 weeks later, the world's shutting down.
Yeah.
Have you got to do any time with that truck?
Which the current 21 Frontier?
No, the 20 with the new engine transmission option.
No, it just hasn't worked out. And honestly, I'll tell you the truth. Honestly, before this new Frontier that's coming out, we didn't train on the Titan. It was like the same thing for years.
Yeah.
So we never trained on it. We always had new launches, and I think sometimes we would. Like I think a couple years back, when the Pathfinder, the Rock Creek edition, we kind of did a dual thing. It was kind of not an afterthought, but we did Rock Creek. Pathfinder was most of the training, and then we kind of spattered in, hey, this is what's new on the Frontier. Yeah. But basically it was the same truck. So
right,
yeah.
But we got like Danny was saying, we got a lot of stuff coming up, and then we have after the Frontier, we got the new Aria.
Yeah.
Oh,
Which I want to get to, but right before that, so I know you're super excited for Pathfinder, and that is actually coming up quicker than Frontier, correct?
Yeah, that's the next one, and I think we're going to start training on that we'll start training the beginning of June.
Right. So
it should be in the dealers probably mid-June, end of June.
So what are you looking forward to that? Obviously, the outside styling and inside styling is nice, but what about the going from a CVT transmission, which I'm sure you've done plenty of time.
Forward to.
You've done plenty of time in that thing now, and it's not for what it's intended to be used in. It's not a bad transmission, but in that big of a vehicle, it just should have never been in there. So it getting a real transmission has to be really exciting.
Yeah, the 9-speed transmission, we're looking for that. I mean, that's a big deal. And then it just is. And, there's talk about, as we all know, there's talk about, they should go to, traditional, transmissions going forward. But, the CVT for what it is, and they've improved it quite a bit in the last couple of years, last 3 or 4 years. Every year they seem to improve it better. It feels better. And like you said, what it's intended to do. Yeah. It gets me, it gets me on the freeway, on the ramp, and gets me going. And I don't know.
The only thing I wish they would do with it is do like what Toyota's doing now, is actually putting a real first gear in it, so you get the initial kind of old school feel of taking off, and then let it smooth out and do its thing. Because I will say, doing some time in a Maxima, you floor it, and it sounds cool, but it just doesn't feel like it's not. Especially for Maxima, they represent it as a sedan sports car. You're just like, well, it looks the part. It just does not everything, but it's like needs new shoes. It just doesn't get you there.
He's got a suit on, but with some old loafers.
Yeah. But so you, I'm assuming you've just done some training with Armada, right?
Yeah, we didn't have the Armada. We didn't have the new one or the new kicks, but we trained on it. Yeah, the new Armada. How do
you think dealers are going to take to that? Because it is it was a much needed improvement in that thing.
Yeah, I mean, I was in just outside of San Antonio 2 weeks ago, And they just started, like I said, when it's a tail end, usually the last week of our training, that's when they start filtering in the dealers. And just like I said, the last week of training in San Antonio, the dealers were getting them. And actually, I went in there and they had one on the floor, a Platinum, and they're really excited about it because it's again, we see all these pictures and the workbooks that we train on, but when I saw that Platinum in person in 3D, it was like, oh my God, this thing is gorgeous.
Yeah, no, I think
and it's all the improvements.
I think that vehicle, I've documented it many times that I just feel like it should have been called the Patrol and forget about it, but they're kind of too deep into Armada now to kind of switch over. But I think that is the most underrated full-size SUV out there. I think for the price that you pay, yes, it's a Nissan branded vehicle, so it's going to be slightly cheaper than your nicer Suburbans and stuff. But I think even with the last generation, where some of the TAC gauges look very mid-2000s, it was still a very luxury vehicle, and that 5.6 is a great engine in that thing.
It is. And then you talk about technology, it was kind of dated because I can't tell you how when I was training in the dealers, like, we got wireless Apple CarPlay standard. Everyone like, oh my God. And I can't tell you how many people say, I lost so many deals because of that.
Yeah.
And I get it.
Because tech is the new thing. Like we're losing V8s left and right. There's no doubt about that. And EV is unfortunately going to be the future of a lot of vehicles. So that just lends itself to people like we're on now. We're all in tech to do this show, and people, I don't know if it's the generational thing now of they're just so used to the Instagram that I got to have my information now. I got to do it now. Just quick. Or what it is they expect from vehicles. But yeah, the days of a basic radio are done. If the damn thing don't near drive for you, something's wrong with it. And yeah, you want that 20-inch plasma TV in the middle, and it needs to read nighttime books to you. I don't know, man.
And Dave, I think we'll call it, I like to call it the Tesla culture, man, because that car came out and it started, you could see it on Instagram or whatever, or however you consume your media, you're going to see somebody doing something cool with a Tesla where it like, some stuff is gimmicky, but it's just so cool. Like a guy sits in his Tesla and starts playing video games with the steering wheel, in the center, and you're like, are you freaking kidding me? It could do that. And so it's like, we've almost been, it's like the people that have Teslas have the iPhone 12, and everybody who's driving around, non-Teslas, gas engine vehicles and stuff, they still have the iPhone 6 kind of a deal. They're like, oh man, I wish I had this kind of wild connectivity / entertainment stuff that's going on. And so, I think it's kind of ruined some of the tech in regular vehicles, I'll say, and caused people to almost demand more from from the vehicles that they're driving.
And it's ruining the driving experience, I think. I think we're all dying. If you like vehicles, and I love vehicles, I know Danny does. Kevin, I assume you do because you work with them for a living.
I love, and that's all I wanted to mention is that I love cars. I always have, but I'm not a gearhead.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't go in Danny's garage.
Well, that was Kevin, y'all.
Give me a hand here.
Kevin, that was Kevin with Nissan. No, I mean, I'm somewhere in between a gearhead and Danny, like tearing stuff apart. But I really do feel like the days of people being passionate about driving things are coming to an end. Unfortunately, I think at some point Tesla's working on the hey, we basically want to be your Uber, and you just hit your app. And we bring a vehicle to you, and it takes you where you want to go, and you move on.
I like to drive.
Yeah. And so which leads me to Aria. So Nissan, with the Leaf, they sort of teased what they could do. And I don't know whether it's just Nissan had a hiccup in their technology. They were neck and neck with Tesla about electric vehicles. And then for some reason, they either stuck with that Leaf too long or they just didn't want to kind of upgrade. But now we're going to Aria, and Aria should be the thing that is Nissan's future, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's got the two motors. It's all-wheel drive. It's gonna, I believe, it's gonna get 300 miles per charge, And every time they say it's kind of weird, even with the next generation Leaf that we had, and that was kind of a challenge. When we launched that new Leaf, what was that, 3 years ago maybe? We drove that around, but it was a little bit different with the logistics because we had to, you got to find charging stations,
Right.
when you're on the road, and so that was a little bit of a logistic challenge, but we were able to do it. But with the Aria, we're looking forward to that. I mean, I don't know anything about that, honestly. I probably don't know any more than you do right now.
I'm assuming that's going to be part of your training, though, correct? I mean, that's not a special. They don't bring in new special.
No.
That,
We know we'll be training on that. So like I said, Pathfinder, Frontier, and then we'll go right into Aria. And I think we're going to be getting a new Murano here too one of these days next summer.
Right.
I mean, that thing's old.
Yeah, but yet to me, Murano, out of all their kind of body on less frame vehicles, that I think it's still the best looking out of all the bunch, man.
I agree. I love the Murano. I always have. When it first came out, it was like, God, the thing's so good looking, and it's still good looking. I think the design still stands the test of time right now.
Right.
I mean, we're gonna get. They've done some refreshing on it here and there, but I believe we're getting an all new Murano at some point, most likely probably next summer.
Well, I know the fans here have been pushing me to get a cabriolet. So Danny doesn't even know about this. So Dan, they've been challenging me for my next year-long project vehicle that I need to get a cabriolet.
I just want you to do a ride and review on one. I just want you to find one and get it, and I want to see all of Dave's thoughts.
Well, it would be fun. But Danny, I really am thinking about it's either that when I get rid of the Juke, or maybe something like a Quest minivan. Just to drop it and have a lot of fun with this thing. Just to do something so silly in this thing. But
you're all witnessing the death of Dave's YouTube career.
No, this was brought up by our listeners and followers here, man. I wasn't bringing this up. But so,
hey, Dave, just real quick,
Yeah.
I noticed here in the chat there's a couple questions. I don't know if you wanted to look at them or not.
Go right ahead, Kevin.
I don't want to think I'm not ignoring anybody.
No, this is the Kevin part of the show because you own the chat, so I'm going to allow you. You are now.
No, I'm just kind of looking back here, and let's see here. There was a question, and what's funny is I know now that I thought that name looked familiar. I know Joey. He works at
I was going to ask
Nissan.
that. Yes, I was going to ask you if you had ever met him when you were down there, because
no, I know
he's been at Boulder for a hot
Joey.
minute.
Yeah,
he's a
because I
great
trained
dude.
his store, for 5 or 6 years, and I was pulled out of there, which they know. But honestly, and then everyone says this. Oh, you say that about everyone. Boulder Nissan was probably my best dealer ever. Honestly, it was a small dealer, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
They had, I think they usually had anywhere from 8 to 12 sales consultants. Most of them were veterans. They knew their stuff. I went in there. I'd say, "Hey, this is what's new," and they were like, "Kevin, just tell us what's new," And I would go in there, and they were respectful of me, and I'd be in there in an hour and tell them what's new, and they want to get back to selling cars. So I really enjoyed Boulder Nissan. I miss those guys. So
I think something like the Aria is going to be huge for them.
Ted.
Oh yeah, they sell Boulders, and I think it's the number one. I think Joey could probably say that they're the number one electric vehicle seller.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, they sold a ton of Leafs. I remember that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So. Why'd they use the 3.5 versus the 3.8 in the Pathfinder? I couldn't tell you right now. We're not in front of that vehicle training. I can't ask those questions yet.
It could have been a packaging thing as well. It could have been a packaging thing as well, as far as space and how that thing fit in there. If it was going to cost them a shit ton of money to try and put something that just wasn't quite as easily fit in there, that could have been a big deal.
You know what's great about that though, because I was told that over a year ago that Nissan was developing a 3.5 for the Frontier and all this, and I was told about the transmission and stuff, and I started talking about Yeah, that the Pathfinder was going to get the 9-speed, and I had several people go, Dave, they can't shove that 9-speed in. They don't even build that for that. And I'm like, this is a car company, guys. If they would have put something in, if they would have put a rocket in that thing and sell it, guess what? They'll figure a way out. So that's the one thing in my little short YouTube career that I've just been like, you know what? I told you guys this was happening, and nobody wanted to listen about it.
Yeah, yeah. So Joey Japan says, Kevin, do you train dealers not only on redesigned vehicles, but I think he means new launches, but refreshed ones? Will you train dealers for the new Armada and Kicks? Yeah, we do the launches, and then we just got done with the new Armada and Kicks. That's we were doing training. I mean, it takes about 7 or 8 weeks to do all our dealers. So we just finished that 2 weeks ago. Nice. So I think that was all really. Dang, you missed the freeze, Kevin. The freeze. We're in California.
Texas.
Oh yeah. I got out of there just in time because I left last Thursday, and I've been home here in the sunshine all week, so I go back Monday. So yeah, good timing.
Well, Kevin, Dog Breath asks, which sounds so weird to say, Dog Breath asks this question, but who is your favorite dealership in San Antonio?
I can't really. This is only my second round because I only started covering Texas, so I just finished my second round. I can tell you that when I was in San Antonio last week, I had a great time at New Braunfels Nissan and Gunn Nissan, those two. Great time, great people. So New Braunfels and Gunn Nissan. Because I only been, to these dealers now twice, and this will be my third round with them.
Do you find that you can go into a dealership and instantly know that there's high turnover in salesmen? Like I would say, because you're a veteran of the industry now, that you could probably never go into a dealership, and as soon as you sit these guys down, you're like, okay, these guys are never going to last. Next time I'm here, it's going to be a whole new crew. But then you find dealerships like Boulder Nissan where it's a veteran crew, man. Like they keep it, and those, I'm going to assume those dealerships are night and day difference as far as volume and everything. Yeah,
well, Boulder's a smaller store, but yeah. I mean, the turnover, unfortunately, in the industry is, it's probably about 40%. It just is. I mean, it's not the job or it's not the career. A lot of people don't think of it as a career. They think it's like a stepping stone. But honestly, you can make a lot of money in this business if you know your product and you got a halfway decent personality. And just apply yourself. You can. I know a lot of salespeople that make, over $100,000.
Yeah.
And it takes a while. I meet a lot of new people. And once in a while, which is nice. It's heartwarming, encouraging that after class, someone will come up to me and, I'm brand new here. So do you got any advice for me? And I said, learn your product.
Yeah.
Learn your number one product that you sell the most, which right now is Rogue. Learn something every day about that vehicle.
Well, and I'm amazed with my own local dealership. I went to have my Titan serviced, and they got bought out. Long story short, they were looking for a different clientele than what the previous ownership was looking for, and they were like, "Hey, your truck's out of warranty," and it was like I forget. It was like, "Hey, man," like I literally had to go tell these people, "Hey, this truck has a longer warranty." Like they had no clue about the trucks. And I think that's probably Nissan's biggest thing, and I don't blame you guys for it because obviously they give you the directive and you go take the directive to the dealerships. But I know for my channel especially, we're truck heavy, and Nissan, for whatever reason, they developed a really good truck. I'm iffy on the design of it, but the Titan is a really good truck, and you can only train these guys so much. You were saying earlier you didn't get a lot of time to train dealerships, it seems like, with Titan, or I guess maybe refresh. And at what point is it crappy dealerships, or is it Nissan just not focusing to sell some of these things?
Honestly, it's dealerships and people not knowing their product. especially with trucks. As you know, you can't fool a truck buyer. And I used to tell people all the time that a truck buyer comes in here, and these are new people. When we launched the new Titan, we did a lot of heavy training, and I used to tell sales consultants, a truck buyer will sniff you out in 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like that, right? I mean, you got to know your product. And I think it scared a lot of people too.
For sure, because I think the probably the majority of truck buyers are going to be men who, use them for specific things. Whether it's off-road towing work, or if they just want it for doing truck things. But when you're like in the truck segment, you have to pay attention a lot more to whether it's towing. You need to know what the tow rating is on it. You got to be able to know what the payload is on it, and you have to be able to yank those numbers out of you have to yank those numbers out of memory, which is not a thing that you would do normally with the rest of the lineup. Ultima, you don't have to think about how much an Ultima could tell. What's the roof rack carrying capacity? You're not going to get that question from an
What's
Ultima.
The payload of that Ultima?
Yeah, exactly.
How many suitcases?
Guys seem to be a little bit more spec centric when it comes to a little bit more gearheads. Probably rolling around looking. They're going to know the horsepower numbers of all the competitor trucks. They're going to know, the torque numbers, or whether it's 4-wheel drive,
the rear end. I mean, something
exactly
is like what's the rear end on this? So it's a 411 or it's a 350.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I think that Nissan, when this new Titan came out, back in 2016 now, they should have designated a truck specialist like they did with Leaf specialists. Now anyone can sell Leafs. Really, but at the beginning they were Leaf specialists, and I think they should have had truck specialists because
they didn't seem to. They went all in on building a truck, but it's like they stopped short.
Yeah,
and I know that's a lot of just to develop a vehicle is so much money, man. But it seems like if you got right to the finish line. Let's just carry it over the finish line a little bit. And it's I've said this many times. I think they brought Fred Diaz over to sell trucks for them. And I don't know if it was the ego of the former leadership or what that caused them to, oh no, I've got to bring this Nissan Titan out.
That guy's still on it. He's locked in the piano somewhere still.
Well, he's in a case somewhere or he needs to be. But American truck, because full-size trucks are all American. There's no, I know Australia wants it, but they're not really getting what we get.
Yeah.
And this is such an American audience, and Nissan launched it with a guy that was not being mean, but he's broken English. He's trying to sell to the good old boy guy, because the good old boy guy, let's be honest, buys a lot of trucks. Now you may crap on that guy.
Couldn't relate to him,
right? And so you've set the tone already that this vehicle is not, it's just not on your radar instantly. If you watch that. Now, the Warrior, I'm sure you hear a lot about the Warrior 2 in dealerships about, hey, where's the Warrior coming? When's this and that coming? You're like, look, guys.
God, that was another mistake. Honestly,
oh, God, yes.
Between you and I and the fence post, that Warrior, they would have brought that Warrior out. See, it was the opposite. They like, the Titan will sell the Warrior. They should have brought the Warrior out, which would have sold the Titan.
Yes. And I've sat
that thing was so cool.
Oh, yeah, I've got to sit in that truck and do some time with it, and you sit in that, and everything about that layout and everything other than the water bottles, which was just dumb to me, it screams awesome truck. And Nissan, that's what put Ram on the to be the second rated truck now, was because they started building kick-ass high horsepower vehicles, and Ram knows that market of, hey, sure, we can't keep up with tech, just throw a Hemi in it and we're good. And if Nissan would have just done that, and I think they put the Cummins diesel in that truck was dumb too. Like, the diesel doesn't scream, I'm going to take this thing out on the desert and go have fun. But I think if they would have put a supercharged version of that 5.6 in that thing, sold it for $80,000 to $100,000, sure, you might sell 10,000 a year. Who cares? Like, it would have done so much for the brand.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's as I got one more question for you, and I appreciate your time, man. So
Yeah, no. In fact, I want to ask me the question, and then and I just wanted to answer these things here real quick, and then I'm going to get out of here because no one wants to sit there and listen to me about this is an all-terrain nation. So you guys can move on, and I'll be back. I'll be watching, but you guys can move on to other vehicles.
So obviously Nissan builds awesome concept vehicles. The Warrior, like you were just saying, that was a home run waiting to happen. The next home run that I seen them do, IDX. Yes, you knew where I was going with this. IDX would have put them back on the map for a heritage vehicle. And I understand why you don't want IDX, because you don't want to tamper with the Z. Z is, Nissan is a very traditional company. They don't want to tamper with their heritage. But IDX was a whole new heritage for them, man.
Yeah, I think those things are too far apart, really. They would have been. I think. Different buyers.
Yeah. But it had to be rear-wheel drive for one, man. And I know at the time Nissan was like, oh, well, we don't really have a platform for that. I call BS on that, because you're part of Renault. You're part of, you have a lot of options to choose from. And even if they put it under the old 350 platform, people would have bought that. You'd put a weaker 4-cylinder engine in it so it wasn't completely Z. But look at Ford with the Mustang. That thing is a home run because they decided, let's go back to our heritage. Let's lay on that a little bit. Camaro, same thing. Even though Camaro doesn't sell as well, it's still.
I'll tell you the one before you go on with the Mustang, because I'm a Ford guy. My dad worked at Ford. I grew up with Ford.
Right.
When I hated that they took the little gas cap off the back and put a little horse there. Oh, yeah. I hated that. Other than that, it was great.
That has to be a safety thing, though. Why they don't have a rear gas cap?
Probably. That's just like the thing that the emblem, with the lady that Danny likes.
Yeah. Well, Danny likes those for different reasons, though. But I really do think the top questions I get are Warrior for Nissan and IDX, and I really do think the IDX, they would have had to tame it down slightly, but to do a coupe version of that car, and once again, who cares if you sell 50,000 of that thing a year? That's a home run for Nissan. I mean, other than the Sentra, which is a high-volume car that they don't make the profit that they do on some of the other vehicles, who cares? Because they were going to charge $35,000 to $40,000 for that car anyways.
Yeah.
Do you get a lot of questions?
If they were to come out...
Oh, sorry, Dan.
I was going to say, if they were to come out, I think that the IDX infused a little bit of excitement and passion into that weird kind of coupe market or whatever. I think if they wanted to be serious about it, they could take something like the IDX and say, okay, we had a lot of people really into this exciting new little thing. I think they should jump back into the 240, and because the 240s are one of the hottest enthusiast racer cheap coupes out there right now. I think that they could inspire some people and move them into 240s. If they were to come out with it, I think a 240 would be what they should call it, just because of that whole name recognition and how hot that car is right now.
We're getting that now, Dan. It's called the whatever 400 or whatever Z.
It's not a 240 in the slightest, and it's not even the same realm, Dave. I'm talking about a two-door that could. I think a 240 could be the car that somebody wants a V6 Mustang, or they get a really cool 240. You know what I'm saying? In that 19, 20-year-old, I could barely afford this, but it's a really cool, fun, exciting little car market. I don't know how big that segment it is. Maybe it's just not worth the money putting into it. But that IDX, I think they could move that into the 240 name and come out with something really cool in that little segment.
Yeah, I think coupes, man, and Kevin may know better than us. I just think, I don't know what it is. When I was a kid, you didn't want a four-door car. You wanted a coupe. And suddenly, and they weren't, let's not act like they were a nightmare to get in and out of. Yeah, sure, some of the tiny Sentra, the little two-door Sentras were a nightmare, but I don't know what it is about a coupe anymore. People are just like, no, I'm good.
Well, remember we had the Ultima Coupe for a while.
Yeah.
People were like, hey, where's that Ultima Coupe? And it doesn't sell, okay? We're in business to make money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched the last Ultima Coupe go across the line in Smyrna. So, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
It was a good-looking car at the time, but it just didn't sell.
I think the problem with that car was it was too much G35. It just looked.
It was like a stripper Z. It was just like the Z with a slightly different body line. That's really all it was.
Well, and a front wheel drive. Let's not forget that.
Was it front wheel drive? No.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Front-wheel
Yeah.
drive.
Yeah. They don't do anything.
I had
but
no
Z.
idea. I thought it was throw it in the trash.
Well, all right, Kevin. So get your couple questions in there that you got.
Okay, so Dog Breath. Dog Breath, what a name, right? I always see him on here, so that's great. So with Frontier dealership training starting August 1st, can you project a time frame for production startup at Canton, which we call SOS, SOP, start of production, and availability of online configurer and Frontiers in dealerships? Well, the online configurer, I couldn't tell you. We don't really deal with that in our end. But the starting August time frame for production startup, my guess is SOP will be right when we start, maybe a week before or 2 weeks before we actually go into the dealers. Because it takes, as you know, once they start, it takes a couple weeks to get that thing going and get those vehicles out to the dealerships. So.
Yeah, I was a part of the Pathfinder launch and the Infiniti G35 launch, and we literally built them for a month and a half before they started shipping them to dealers. So they want a nice stock to ship out, so all dealers get something.
Yeah, Kevin, is there a long bed option for the Frontier? Yes, there is. I'm not sure.
I think
what
we
was
saw
it?
one in a sky photo, if I remember right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there will be a long bed. I'm not sure what trim level. Kevin, who's your favorite? Danny or Dave? No, I'm kidding.
We all know what the answer is. To that.
You asked that question in your San Antonio dealership, and I said that Boulder Nissan is the best dealership in Colorado. Yes, it is. I knew more about my Titan than the salesperson. Kelly says that. So Nismore, Kevin, when I was shopping for my Titan, I realized that the Nissan dealer network uses an outsourced call center to funnel customers into the dealers. A good number of dealers I called never called me back. Yeah, I couldn't. I don't know about that. I'm sorry. Let's see. Frontier bumper to bumper warranty. That's 36 months, not 60.
Do you think that they will bump that up? I know there's a lot of cost associated with that, but do you think that since the Titan, I know they did that for Titan to sell Titans. But
5 years. Yeah. I don't know. That's a great question. I haven't heard anything, but I mean, I'm assuming it's going to be 36, but that's a good question. Kevin, when can we expect info on the Z? What's the plan for Infiniti's future? Again, we don't train on the Z. It's not a core vehicle. But I'm thinking that we're going to see the 400 probably. I would have to say maybe early next, like what?
The 400?
24?
No.
Is it a 400?
No. Do you
400Z?
What do you think that will end up
called a
calling
400?
that, if you had,
I don't know.
If you had to just speculate, what do you think they stick with? Because everything points to it's going to have the 3-liter twin turbo that the Infiniti Redline gets. Do you think that they call it a 300Z? Because Nissan's traditional, man.
I know. I don't know. I that's a great question. Maybe they're calling it 400 just to drum up interest, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Let's see, a couple more here. We asked not a lot of Frontier info till July. Yeah. But I mean, there's a lot of info on the websites right now and the press releases.
Yeah. The press releases gave us basically all the info that we have. I think that was more as they were asking like if you had any more info. But from my understanding, that what we have in the press releases,
that's it.
All the info that's out there right now.
I mean, what more do you need
Unless
to
you have
know?
something secret you
it's
want to tell us.
getting the 3.8. It's getting a 9-speed transmission, and you've seen the design of it. Other than a few key features, they've even said payload and stuff. So I don't know what more.
Yeah.
Breakdown.
So Joey Japan says, "LOL, he's locked in a piano. The password is Nissan Titan." That's funny.
That's a zinger. I gotta grab a drink.
That's funny.
Go ahead, Dan.
What comes first? Automotive press access, test and review, or the 22 Frontier, or new Frontiers and Nissan dealerships? Usually, when we start training with these new vehicles, it's usually like when we start the week of training, when we first start in the dealers, that's when you start seeing all those online reviews like a week later.
Yeah.
So it's usually we get them. The first week of training, usually we're in the dealerships, and then you start seeing those things roll in about 2 weeks after we have them.
Well, and they'll do on that. They'll do a few weeks before that. They'll bring press out, and they'll, in a very limited aspect, get to drive them. And I'm sure I've pissed Nissan off enough that I'm not getting invited to that. But fingers crossed that I do.
Yeah. And then Joey says Warrior first for sure, like we were talking about. Every customer asked where the Warrior was and passed on the Titan. Let's see here. Nissan Silvia, IDX Nissan Silvia, yeah. With Frontier dealership training starting August 1st. We talked about, sorry. Kind of Ultima Coupe was someone who wanted a Z but had a bad credit rating.
Exactly. That's what I was saying. That 19-year-old kid he's had a job for 3 months and one maxed out credit card.
All right, so that's about it. So anyway, guys, I'm going to let you go so you can continue and talk about other things besides Nissan. But thanks for having me on. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, man.
Maybe when we launch that Pathfinder, or once I'm training in the dealers, maybe we could do a live remote. Because that when it's in the dealers, we can. People can see it, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
maybe when we do the Pathfinder, we can do like kind of a live thing. I could do a live walk around for you,
Sure.
or it's the same thing with the Frontier.
Or maybe just for some reason, me and
Cool.
Danny just happened to fly into a certain area of Texas, and we just happened to stumble across the thing.
We could take it out for a spin. So,
but Kevin, we appreciate you being on tonight, man. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah,
and,
thanks, man.
And
I know I got probably reason I want to go is because I
Got a beer.
but you have such a fan base in our chats, man. It was like, if I didn't bring you on, I think they were gonna just end up wanting to kill us. But seriously though, like we've talked back and forth before this, man. It's always fun to chat with you, and I'll be looking forward to see what you think of these up and coming vehicles. I value your opinion on those.
Well, thanks, and there was a lot of fun. I appreciate it. Getting all these, and again with Joy, I forgot all about that. I thought that name looks familiar. And Joy, I will be back in Colorado soon because it's, my sister lives there, and I always say, hey, because I used to go train in the afternoon there. I had an afternoon session, and I would go up the hill, up to the foothills, and have dinner with my sister in Boulder.
Nice.
So I'll be back soon, and so I'm gonna split out of here, but I'll be back at my laptop, kind of watching you guys. So
Wow, it was good
Sweet.
to have
Thanks,
you on,
Kevin.
man.
yeah, all right, thanks, guys.
All right, thanks,
All
man.
right, buddy.
Well, there you go, guys. There was Mr. Kevin with Nissan, and Dan, that was a lot of good information, man. I appreciate Kevin coming on there, and it's interesting to get a guy. I don't care what manufacturer it is, but it's interesting to get a perspective of someone who literally is like, hey, man, I take the vehicles to the people. What they do with them is what they do with them. I can only you can lead a horse to water, but can you make them kind of drink? That's kind of the question of the day.
Yeah, no, he's got great insight, and we've seen it so much on our the live stream in the chats and whatnot. He always has some great insight.
Oh, sorry, Dan. I just cut Danny off there. Let's see if he pops in. I may have to adjust this real quick. Let's see. Did I get it? Is Danny coming? Sorry, Dan. I was trying to. Let me get you in here. I was trying to adjust this on the fly, and it would be a show
Hung up on me, man.
if Dave didn't screw something up, man.
Classic Dave Tech.
Let's be honest. Dave's gonna screw things up, and all right, there's Danny's face back on the screen. All right, Dan. So sorry about that, man.
Yeah, no, I was just saying it's great to have Kevin in the chat a lot of the times because he's got great insight. I mean, he's very knowledgeable with the products, and especially with the fresh new products that are coming out with Nissan and whatnot. So cool to be able to actually chat with him live in person and get kind of the lowdown from him. So,
well, and
it was
when I
awesome.
said it, he literally had. There's a fan base in our chats, and of course, it all started with the Nissan Nation Productions side. But like, he has a little fan base in the chat, and I was like, I kept getting people ask me, "Hey, when are you gonna have Kevin on, man?" And I was like, "Well, whenever. If Kevin, I don't know if Kevin wants to be on, man, but."
Well, and in truth, I thought Kevin worked at a dealership as like maybe like some kind of manager at a dealership or something like that. So I wasn't aware until today actually that he was in
Yeah, I
not
text
necessarily
you.
product launch, but yeah.
That's
And,
Danny though.
so
That's Danny of like, what are we doing tonight? And I'm
yeah.
like, hey, Dan.
I'm really good on the fly. I'm really good at faking it.
Fake it till you make it, buddy. Hey, guys, I really this Jack Daniels, Dan, I've got to say,
Yes.
dude, this goes down very, very smooth.
I'm gonna have to try it out. We had a question, or not a question, but a mention earlier about that Murano Cross Cabriolet, and I actually did a bit of Googling while we were chatting. Just so you know, I think that there was anywhere between 5,000 and 9,000 of those made. If I go off some sales numbers,
The odds are
from
good
some
of me
Googling.
finding one, then, right?
Yeah, but apparently they're pretty expensive, and a lot of people want them for some freaking reason. Anyhow, that was my quick one.
Frank B's in with a super chat, Dan.
Oh, Frank B. Hold on. I need something sharp. All
Need
right,
something sharp.
$5 to shotgun a silver bullet. I'm in, dude.
Oh, be so honey. Thank you, sir. Looks like Danny's going to take you up on that, Frank B. I enjoy my alcohol, so there's not going to be any shotgunning for me. And let's see. Dan, did Dan bring out the silver
Cheers,
bullet?
Frank B. and Miso. This one's for you boys.
It's amazing what money will do.
Hell yeah, dude. I'm a whore. Let's see here.
This shotgun was brought to you by the silver bullet, the cold smooth. You got to crack that top too, right?
Yeah. Sorry. This is something you usually do outside. I haven't shotgunned a beer in like 8 years, I bet. So, cheers, boys.
And this shotgun was brought to you by Gone Moab, which is not going to be around this year, unfortunately. And the cool flavor of a Coors Light. Oh, Joey!
Wow.
Joey says the Gatorade goes down smooth. There you go, Dan.
That's a lot messier than I remember it.
Danny is a man of the
Ugh.
people, and let's not forget
I'm
that.
a man. That was for you, boys.
Danny, Danny did that just for you guys. So Dan, I dropped a video today on a new series that I'm producing.
ZR2, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to go through a bunch of different vehicles, and I'm pricing out what I would buy from these. And I start out with the Chevrolet ZR2 package, the Colorado. And Dan, have you got to see the ZR2 at all?
A little bit. I've seen some actually out in the dirt. They do extremely well, especially with some of the suspension packages that are out there. Sorry, I'm watching myself shotgun a beer now. And I got so much gas. Now I remember why, as a grown, almost 40-year-old man, why I don't do that anymore.
I should replay this as we're doing this and break it down like John Madden on film, like pointing here. Here's what Danny should have pumped the brakes a little bit harder.
Oh man, I forgot what shotgunning cheap beer does.
But
makes you burp.
The ZR2 is a very
ZR2.
underrated. I feel like it's an underrated vehicle, man.
No, they're great. Good power. Like I said, there's a couple really great suspension setups for them. I had a good buddy that had the diesel, which was kind of good, kind of eh.
Yeah.
If I was to buy one, I wouldn't buy the diesel. Just not my cup of tea for a mid-sized truck.
I think it's a waste, honestly, for what it costs you.
Yeah, and that was his kind of deal. He ended up buying a Z71 or something like that, a full-size Chevy truck.
Yeah.
So it's a cool truck, and you can outfit them. I like them when they're outfitted pretty decently. They're pretty cool. I think that the whole like Frontier Tacoma thing they're fighting, and then the Chevy and Ford thing are fighting as far as like looks are concerned.
Yeah.
The Chevy kind of has a lot more of that slope design, where the Frontier and the Tacoma kind of have a little bit more of a boxy design, which is crazy to think that that's how both the manufacturers went. If you think about it, like the Fords and the Chevys are a little bit more of good old boy type company brands, and they went with a little bit more of a European
Yeah.
styling.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
now we have the Japanese brands that that are a little bit more of a boxed out looking design, which it's personal preference really, but at the same time I prefer the Tacoma and the new Frontier designs a lot more.
Right. Well, I ended up pricing one out. I forget what the end price was, but it was in the mid 40s. And which I was a little surprised that it got that high. And obviously we're Nissan guys, so we kind of fall to Nissan a little bit, where you can get a Pro 4X for mid 30s with one rear locker. And I just don't know that to add basically a some aftermarket or some non-aftermarket skids and stuff that I would replace anyways, and a front locker was worth the 10 grand extra, really. But I did like the vehicle a lot.
Yeah, and I, to tell you the truth, I haven't gone and watched that one yet. I saw it pop out, and I haven't had a chance to watch it. So I'm curious what
hurt.
options you were in. I know
I'm
you're hurt.
Well, I will say this, but I'm going to do, guys, it's what I'm doing is I'm pricing out vehicles that, obviously you guys know the Bronco's coming, but I may only have the Bronco for a year and it may disappear into something else. So what I'm doing is I'm using this build and prices is kind of where you guys, if you show a lot of interest in one particular vehicle, that tells me, hey, you guys are interested in me owning something like that. So it's kind of what I'm doing, but I haven't decided the next one yet, but it's either between a GTR or the new C8 that I'm going to build and price. So which would you go with, right? If you were going to build price, because I call those two entry-level supercars.
No, for sure. And to tell you the truth, I want to see you do both, because I feel like you need to do both so that we can see what you're going to get for the same
Later, Frank
money
B.
or later, Frank B. Yeah, so that's actually very intriguing to me. What you're going to get for whatever it is, 80, 90K for C6, or 100 something for GTR, or if the GTRs come down now, or what kind of packaging you can get, and the options may be way more for one, or there's not as many options for the other or whatnot.
Well,
that's actually very curious.
I will say GTR starts out at 113,000 now.
Actually, Dave, I think you should do a video of building out both next to each other.
Yeah,
because I really dig that idea. We haven't talked about this, by the way.
No, we haven't.
But I think that's a great idea, and it'd be very interesting to see what you're going to get from a GTR and a Z6 at similar price points, and then what's the wildest that you can go, and what's the top price points if you add all the retarded stuff.
Yeah.
Real quick, Dog Breath asked my AFSC, which is like my job code in the military. I'm a 2W. I'm ammo. Yeah,
that's right. The guy that just poorly shotgunned a beer. You're trusting that the ammunition works right.
Dave, ammo guys are known for chugging beer. It's kind of like a thing. So I'm doing my boys proud. All the 2Ws out there, I'm doing them proud.
There was another question I wanted to get to. Let's see, where was it? Where was it at?
GM was awarded a military contract for a Colorado ZR2. That's very interesting. I'm guessing they may have a bunch of stripper versions out in the desert for them or something.
Well, I know there was talk where they were trying to do a very stripped version of that thing. It wouldn't look like a truck.
Well, I know that they had, when I was out in Afghanistan, they had a ton of the Toyota. What's the European or the overseas version of that thing? Oh, I'm totally spacing on it. What do they call the Toyota that super
the Land Cruiser?
Knows.
Cruiser?
The truck. What do they call the truck overseas?
Helix.
Helix. They had a ton of Toyota Helixes out there. That was like the truck of choice for cruising around town for all the spec up guys and stuff like that.
Yeah. Let's see. A lot of people are saying GTR. I'm surprised. Obviously, we have a big Nissan crowd, but I'm surprised that there's not more interest in C8. Because I honestly, just going off of what I know of both vehicles, I think the C8 is probably the best bang for your buck right now. If you want a lot of horsepower and something that looks exotic, I've often said that at some point there will be a GTR in my driveway just because I love that car. I think it looks freaking amazing. And speaking of GTR, A couple years ago, I did an interview with a buddy here locally that had a GTTS Skyline, and he just traded it for a 95 GTR R33. So we've got a nice white.
Was that the one you went and saw, Dave?
Yeah, I've documented this black one a few times. Well, he's got a.
Oh,
he
so
sold
he
it.
ended up going with a new one.
Mm-hmm. Well, newer.
Well, I say new. I mean the current version.
Yeah, but it's a V spec. So I'm curious to get to see this car. He's
Coming
already
up in the
modded.
world.
What sucks for Brent is he got it in the middle of the snowstorm, so they unloaded it and he put it right in his garage, and we literally have had so much ice and stuff. It's like not worth it to bring it out, but it's killing him. You know, it's like it'd be like Christmas Day opening up your presents, but they're like behind a glass wall, and you're like, well, I can't do anything.
Getting a new bike, and there's 7 feet of snow outside.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But to kind of wrap up my thoughts there, I am going to do some build and price stuff. If you guys are curious for me to build and price something else out, let me know, because I've said it many times. This is a truck heavy channel, but I'm all about sports cars too. And if GM or anybody wants to send me or Danny out to go do time in something fun, I'm all about bringing it to the channel. I know at one point we were talking about Danny sending you out to BMW was doing a cool little ride.
Yeah, well, and I still have that actually on the potential schedule. There's been a couple almost opportunities right before COVID hit, but there's the BMW test center down here. They have a full BMW test course, and it's actually through a good buddy of mine that owns a tire store. He gets to go out there every once in a while, so I should be able to get on that course at some point in time. As soon as it opens back up, that is.
Right. Ramesh says I need to do a Gladiator. Gladiator is definitely on my list, and Gladiator would have been in the driveway by now if the wife wants a Bronco really, really bad, guys. And
the Bronco, I think a Bronco is a better choice than the Gladiator.
If I'm looking at what's going to make the channel more money for views, and you know, I'm not going to be a douchebag about it and say, oh, I just need to do this for money. But in reality, you know, I'm trying to do this full time. So yeah, the Bronco does make sense. The Gladiator's been out for over a year now. But I'm seriously trying to get me and Danny to go out and hang out with our buddy Kevin Copeland, who has a Gladiator Rubicon. Yes. Danny, he's got a lift sitting in his garage for it already. And you know, Kevin's crazy as hell anyways.
So Dave, recently this kind of ties back into what we talked about at the beginning of the show. I went out to King of the Hammers.
Oh yes,
I went to the King of the Hammers Adventure Festivus, which is like a quasi overland, more of like a Festivus. It's like a overland meets Burning Man away from Hammertown, where it's not so crazy in Hammertown.
Did you
but it's
sleep
more
in one of them
like
space tents?
Well, yep. We were all in shift pods and stuff like that with laser
ship
shows
pods.
And stuff. Go over to the DeGroot X YouTube channel and check out that latest video. I don't have a ton of views on it, but it's a good video because there's a Rubicon Gladiator with a completely destroyed front axle, broken straight in half.
That was great. Like it's like. And the dude looked a little intoxicated. I'm not gonna lie, because I think
he wasn't. He for
wasn't?
sure wasn't.
I just didn't feel like the reality.
He's a big YouTuber,
but I just didn't feel like the reality was of how bad he was broken. Really was.
Yeah. And to tell you the truth, I don't think he posted because I think he's claiming insurance on it. So I may have posted a little quicker than he probably would have liked. But whatever. What I'm getting at, Dave, is while I was at this in Hammertown, we were about 2 miles through the desert up on a plateau away from Hammertown. So it was a bit of a trek to get into Hammertown. I never actually went into Hammertown,
which disappoints me so much, man.
Yeah, I know, but it was the way the whole thing ended up being. It was hard for me to get down there, and it really wasn't worth it. I didn't even have my own vehicle.
No, let's be honest,
Dan.
You're a social butterfly, and once a couple beers flowing, and Danny gets to talk with people, and like you weren't getting in there.
The most transportation. Well, it was even hard to get out to find it. Like I have so many stories, but anyways, so I talked to a couple guys that had been into Hammertown earlier in the week, and we got there right at the end of the week when things were like crazy and just finished. The big 2 races happened while we were there, so we were watching the races most of the But they had gone into Hammertown before the big races happened, and they were giving rides in the Bronco Sport and then the Bronco.
Well, you could have
I think it was
drove. You could have drove the Sport.
Yeah, but so they were giving rides in. It wasn't even like a Sasquatch package. It was a pretty base model package that they were giving rides in the Bronco. And he said, and this is a guy that I can't remember right offhand what he was driving. He was driving a very nice, I think it was a Ford Ranger, to tell you the truth. It was a very well set up Ford Ranger. But I talked to him in depth about his experience. And he said it was beyond his expectations, like far beyond his expectations. And just, I said, what, was it running the 35s, a Sasquatch? I imagine they brought like a real freaking zinger to go beat up.
Yeah.
He's like, no, this was like a base model, dude. And he said, that thing is amazing. He's like, they sent it really hard down the trails, and I rode in it with them.
They were doing 60 mile an hour down those trails.
Yeah, and he said it was absolutely amazing how well it handled. He said it blew my mind. And then he told me that even the Bronco Sport, he said, I would never have thought that I could take that Bronco Sport on any of the trails that they showed me, and it would handle nearly as well. So,
yeah,
good. I think that's some really good news. For the industry, for the segment, that Ford,
and that's something that Wrangler can't do, really. Let's be honest. I mean, you can do it, but the straight axle doesn't lend itself to high speed off-roading.
Yeah, but I'm very excited to see what's going to start happening when a lot of these start hitting the market, and what's going to be the
excited
the rest of the car companies out there that realize that however many of these got pre-sold, and everybody's just as happy with them after they got the money on the table and they're actually out driving them.
I'd be amazed to see when I can get mine. What I could actually sell it for. Now, obviously, I'm going to do some time in it, but I really think that mine's pricing out about $52,000 plus taxes. I really think that I could sell mine.
Wait, your Bronco's pricing out at what?
About $52,000.
Woo!
Yeah, it's pricey. But I think that I could sell that thing for $65,000. I really do think that I could get about $15,000 or more on top of what I'd pay for it.
Yeah, Joey said,
me so later, buddy.
Yeah, see you, boys. There might be that, once all the pre-orders go out, there might be that dealer markup. We'll see.
Yeah, Joey Parent said Danny crashing the mini bike was worth the watch. I will admit that was pretty hilarious.
So let me just tell you too, like, where you can kind of hear in the background when my buddy's wife says he's so exhausted, and literally I had been riding that mini bike. We had two mini bikes, 110cc, 125cc, and then there's a short little clip in there of me riding what I brought, which is a Honda Ruckus. It's like a little 50cc like cruise around town bike thing, which is like hilarious. It was so much fun to ride. But I had been riding those for like a straight hour nonstop going. Like, I was exhausted. My shin was swollen. My elbow was swollen. And I think I mentioned something I like about how I was exhausted, and I had to take the truck out to go one day, and they were taking the bikes out because I beat the piss out of myself because I was having so much fun on those pit bikes. They were just like, it was like a little kid riding a bike again. I just couldn't get off of it, just doing donuts. So it was a good fun.
Well, so I seen that you got a couple new parts on your truck. You kind of hinted at it earlier in the video that you got a new hood or something
on the race truck.
Yeah.
And I'm 90% sure it's a Hanneman hood. So it doesn't say anything on it, but it's a fiberglass hood, big fat cowl. I'm going to try and do a little install video on it maybe this weekend. I don't know. I'm going on a big road trip next weekend, so I got to get some truck stuff ready. But yeah, it's super rad looking. There's like one truck out there, or there's pictures of one truck out there with the fenders and the hood, that somebody had put all together way back in the day. But I have only seen this hood on one other truck out there. So I'm really
picture.
pumped.
And it looks really freaking cool, man.
It's really freaking
Yeah.
cool. I'm so pumped. I want to get it installed before I kind of reveal it or whatever, because I don't want to just show a picture of it or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, I want you guys to chomp at the bit a little bit. But it's really freaking cool. It doesn't fix anything on the truck other than make it look so much more rad. But sometimes you just gotta put that sweet action suit on and go party a little bit. So
Well,
I'm pretty pumped to get it on.
I know since handing you over the NNP, I know I've had a few people going, "Hey, when's Danny going to drop something fun over there?"
Oh, I know, dude.
Obviously,
I know.
you hear Danny's like Adventure City right now.
Yeah,
So,
and in truth, I've been busting in the garage. I actually have so much video that I haven't edited for my channel, for the NMP channel, and I'm really working to try and get that squared away for you guys. I know I haven't dropped anything on the NMP since I took it over or whatever, but I'm really gonna try and get some of that stuff out to you. I was editing some videos today, realized I have a bunch of videos, but I don't have intros and outros, and there's a couple more things I want in there. So I'm gonna try and get some stuff up for you guys.
well, you heard it there, guys. So don't
Well,
don't hound me about it. Dan, I told you, Danny will bring you content over there. And we've got to get that finalized too, Dan. I gotta spend more than 20 minutes looking at stupid YouTube
I know both
stuff.
of us would be like, we got to transfer some stuff. We're like, oh yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah, YouTube is a nightmare. Let me tell y'all, YouTube is a nightmare to give somebody a channel, and to give somebody a channel. Like, it's a freaking nightmare.
Yeah, it's a pain.
Let's see. Dog Breath says Laguna Seca Road Course Sunday. Yes, I will be around 2 p.m. I will be racing. The
I gotta take
iRacing.
a break. I'll be right back.
Yeah, I will be racing the iRacing course at Laguna Seca, and I've managed to make one lap around that thing without crashing, Dog Breath. So I don't expect a lot. I was watching some tip videos today on that course, so I don't expect a good showing from me for Sunday, but it's coming. And once we get through the season that I've prepared, we'll see about moving into real people that I can piss off and run into, and we'll see what we can do there. Let's see. Bring a couple more questions, guys. This has been a long one, and I appreciate once again Kevin Minne for coming on. Let's see. Ramesh says Gladiator. Nismorg says the GTR gets a TC or TSC malfunction errors when you drift it in the snow. Yeah, usually all-wheel drive doesn't like to be drifting in the snow. I think B is for Build proved that when he took it out, and it shows how much that guy knew about the GTR he built, that he went and instantly tried to drift it, and I think damn near blew the trans in the thing. Let's see. YouTube Car Spotter Guide says a 392 Wrangler or the 4XE. I will be honest, I have zero interest in the 4XE. I think that is a waste of either they do an all-electric Wrangler or don't do one that gets 20 miles of actual plug-in electric whatever, and then you're back to gas. I have zero interest in that vehicle. But the 392, I would love to spend some time with that one. But the problem is, I think they're all sold out already, and you're talking $80K for something like that. Plus, that is a dealer marked up Wrangler, so I have zero interest in that. Unless this channel was making $10,000 a month, you're probably not going to see the 392 in it. Maybe an older. I would have interest in a older Raptor, definitely.
Yeah, hell yeah,
that would be fun. Let's see. Yeah, so it is my first time at Laguna. Let's see. Joey Parent says, Dave, are you planning to come out my way with the new Bronco? Yes, Joey. So the plan is, fingers crossed, that I get my Bronco before Went Windrock, which is in September. And by the way, it's the final Went Windrock. So if you ever had an interest in coming to my Nissan off-road event, this is the last year to do it. So, but yeah, I'm, the plan is for me and my buddy, over at Lifestyle Off-Road to, come hang out in Moab for a week. And, it's no event. It's just me and some friends close friends that I want to go hang out with. We go off-road and, we all crash in a couple condos and, shenanigans, and we just have fun, man. Cause I'm honestly, other than like car shows right now, I'm burnt out on big events, especially Nissan events right now. And it's nothing against the people, because I love the people. I'm just ready to get back to some far as off-roading. I'm ready to get back into just hanging with my friends, just doing what I love, man, because events, and this sounds cocky and it's not meant to be. If me and Daniel go to a Nissan event right now, you have to be on. You know what I mean, Dan? Like, you have to be like, yay!
I think I know what you mean more than anybody, Dave.
Yes.
And I think we've talked about this quite a few times.
And it's nothing against
yeah,
that.
you
'Cause
have
I
to be
love,
on. It's so much fun, but it's like by the time you're done, it's almost like you have adrenaline depletion. You know?
Yes, and it's just I like doing that too, man. I'm an entertainer by trade. Like, I love performing. When I toured playing music, I love performing. I've done 10 years of that I'm going to be your best buddy kind of thing. And I've not met anybody that I don't like, so don't get me wrong, but I just want to go hang out with a 12 or
I
so.
have.
Well, there was some guy from Oregon that was a little weird. But I just want to get meet Danny or somebody, a few friends like Joey Parent, and just go have some fun, man. It doesn't have to be vehicle specific. I just want to go have fun. So yes, Joey, the plan is to come to Moab very, very soon. The date for Went, Joey, is September 20th through 25th, if I remember right. And
that's going to be Danny's Dirty 40.
It is Danny's Dirty 40, and we're going to get the moonshine out for Danny. Maybe a little Tawaka.
No, just the moonshine will be fine. But yeah, we'll finish it like we started. You know what I'm saying, Dave?
That's right, man. Let's see. Nismorg says, Dave, you missed an opportunity. You should have picked up that busted Ram TRX from that douchebag. He didn't say douchebag, but I said it on YouTube, and had a build series with you and Dave. I can't have a build series with me and Dave because I'd be talking to myself then. But
I think he wanted me to get it, and then me and you have a build series.
Could be.
But
no, I think that dude trashed it. Dan, were you a part of the video when I kind of broke that down of that douchebag just destroying that thing?
I think we talked about it. Yeah, I think I was here for that.
I just really feel like that was super disrespectful, man. I know, yeah, you got money, you can go tear up whatever you want and jump it. Yeah, and it should have. I think it had more power than he was ready for, but I just to burn the thing at the end and just act like a dick. For what? Yeah, you're going to get some viewers for it, but those aren't the viewers you want, man. I want viewers like these guys that follow us every week that just they're bros, man. They want to come talk cars and trucks and just I don't have to go take the Juke and jump it off of a bicycle ramp or something, because that's about all it's going to do.
You're right, Dave, but I will say that I think that I want to jump the Frontier because I've watched all these guys set in their trucks so hard. I just want to jump the Frontier now.
Oh, I mean, you've done a lot with that Frontier, though. So
yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be the first time I jumped it, but still.
Yes, Joey says he loves what I'm saying. We just want to get to wheel together. Yes, I agree, man. I'm tired of in wheeling, especially Overland Guy. Not shitting on Overland Guy, but I'm going to sort of. I don't need a bunch of gear, man. I just want to throw my bags in my Bronco and just go have fun, man. I don't need 15 lights on top of the thing. I don't need some bull balls hanging off the back of it or whatever. I just want to go what the vehicle was intended to do and go have fun.
Yeah, no, I agree, Dave. And you know what? I'm kind of going on the Rogue Overland Adventure this next week, actually, which is it's not an event. It's just, there's not like, hey, you have to, it's not like a Nissan thing. It's not anything. It's just it's a good time where you just sit around the campfire and hang out with people. And that's kind of how that King of the Hammers Adventure Festivus was. I didn't have any idea what it was, what I was getting into. I knew one of our buddies, Jeremy, was going to be there. And so I got there and it was just, a bunch of really cool people. And, we just had a bunch of hang around the campfire and, random stuff happened. Like that Jeep blew up his front axle and we went and recovered him. And
yeah, you just want to experience that stuff, man.
Yeah. Dicked around on mini bikes. I've never really been a motorcycle rider in the dirt. I've rode a lot of adventure bikes on the street and a little bit on the dirt. But I've never been like a moto rider. And to hop on a little mini bike and get that feel of a bike in the dirt again.
Hey, let me tell you what really sucks, Dan. I'm sorry. Go
What's that?
Finish your thought. And
I was just saying, like that whole like just go out and have fun and just be a kid again, and then bond around a campfire. I talked to a couple really just wild people there. I remember sitting around the campfire and some guy was talking about how he was he like lived in Indonesia for 3 years, and he got into cockfighting, and then he was like raising cocks to fight. It was just the most wild thing in the world. You don't get that just like randomly, walking around and having friends, and talking to them in the old suburbs. But you definitely get that around a campfire with all the different weird people that you meet.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. But let me tell you what's really disappointing, Dan. So I spent some time with our buddies over at Z1. I took the Juke there. I had promised everybody I was getting it tuned, and my dad got sick last year, and like I was supposed to be down to Z1 for that. Dude, it was well worth the wait, Danny. But what really sucks is, so I've got a couple stories to. I'm sure, Danny, you got to go soon, anyways. But I've got a couple stories with the Juke, man. So I get down to Atlanta, well, Carrollton, Georgia,
Z1.
and you guys have seen me how much I handle the Juke, and this is going to be embarrassing for me to talk about. But so I've changed the oil in the Juke once, and I haven't probably drove the damn thing 1,500 miles since. And I get down there and they get it set up, and they're going through like very professional, man. They put it on the dyno, they're checking fluids and everything. And my buddy Austin goes, "Hey, man, you trying to blow this thing up?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "It's a little bit low on oil." And I was like, "Well, that's embarrassing, man." A car show guy bringing a vehicle down 400 miles away, and it's low in oil. And I was like, "Well, okay." And so they topped it off and all that. And Danny, they took a car that it bases at 188 horsepower from the factory.
Yep.
I had bumped it to 193 or whatever just by doing the mods without it being reflashed or anything, to 241 or 2 horsepower in that little car, that little small, like the turbo is like that big. It's tiny. 240 horsepower in this little thing, dude. And it was a rocket ship. And my buddy John over there who did the tuning and stuff, man, he was so impressed with the numbers. And I'm sure it's a game they play, but they came out and said, "I can't believe what this thing just did." And I was like, "Oh, they're just being funny." For 30 freaking minutes, they're like, "Dude," somebody new would come out and go, "Did they tell you what this thing put up?" And I was like, "No." And what sucks was they wouldn't let me back.
Turbo cars, baby.
Yeah, they wouldn't let me back there, and I'm sure it's for insurance reasons why they wouldn't let me back there, why they were tuning it. So I wanted to do a whole video on this thing, but it was like, I can't burn my good contacts at Z1 just because I want to do a 10-minute video. But for 30 freaking minutes, Danny, they're screwing with me, going, because they don't get a lot of they don't get a lot of Jukes. They've tuned a couple.
Yeah. They've tuned a ton of Z's, and they've done some truck stuff recently, right?
But for Jukes, usually they send them to 2Js or whatever it's called. The guy loves Jukes and Sentras. And so, he came back, and John came back, and I was like, "Dude, 242 or whatever he said horsepower."
That's wild, dude.
Yeah.
You blew when you sent me because you sent it to me right away.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Are you freaking kidding me? You're like up in my territory of horsepower in my truck."
Yeah.
Which is we're probably putting them out the same amount of horsepower to the wheel.
Yeah. Yeah. If you think about it,
car's half the weight.
I bet money it's damn near 300 horsepower at the crank now, with a simple tune.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, Dan. So I'm driving it back, and we had stayed in Chattanooga we're going down there, and I stay at this place. I can't think of the name of it at the time, but it's this cool 20s and 30s hotel. The girls wear the whole outfits. Like, it's very cool. It's old wood, just super cool hotel.
Yeah.
And we were coming back, and it was like, you know what? Let's just stay there again on the way back. So we did it. And when I did the up rev, and I'm sure you do it all through your cruise control and stuff.
Yep.
And I did 3 tunes. I did a performance tune, a low boost tune, and then I did a valet tune. And I thought, hey, they gave me the valet tune, and we valet parked. I'm just going to put it in valet. So I did it. Next day, I'm waiting in line to get my car. It comes out. and I remembered I put it in valet. I thought I seen the little light flash of the one time it was supposed to put it in performance. I'm driving, having fun. I go to get on the interstate, and the GD thing hit 40 miles per hour and is not going over that. And I'm like, oh, well, I know the problem. So I pull over to the side, and I'm like, okay, I just didn't hit the button right. Nope. Did the one flash like it was supposed to for the performance tune. Go to get up to speed, 40 miles again. I'm like, mother effer, man, because I'm still 90 miles away from home. And I'm like, this is going to be a long trip home at 40 miles an hour. Let me tell you. And I'm like frantically calling Spencer over at Z1. I'm like, hey, man, not that I thought they messed it up. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? And ended up, Spencer's like, look, turn the car off, leave it off for 10 seconds. The computer just needs to kind of reflash itself, and you'll be good.
Yeah.
And as soon as enough, bam, back to normal. But I was like, only I would have these problems of like freaking out that I just took my car to have it tuned, and I screw it up. So, but anyways, dude, if you want any, like, I know your truck was not on the dyno with Z1, but they remotely tuned it. Those guys are freaking,
dyno definitely felt it.
Those guys
Yeah,
are
no.
freaking awesome, man. I and they don't just like throw a tune in. Here's what they gave us. No, they look at the tune, and I think they've dialed yours in a little bit, right? Like you've went back and forth with them just a little bit.
Yeah, it's about as hot of a tune. I told him I wanted basically the hottest tune, which I'm sure I'll probably, I'm at about 100,000 miles on that truck now, so
Holy
it's
cow.
probably not great. It's not good for it. I should probably have like an ego tune on it as well. So I just cruise around. I have one tune
Really
right now, and it's just full boat. So when I get in it, it screams. I think the biggest thing you'll notice is when I have my foot to the floor in it, when it shifts, it doesn't like all that power in the shift. So when it goes from third to fourth or second to third, the pressure for the torque or for the transmission, it's like a the transmission isn't as happy as it should be.
Oh, no.
When it's
I'm a
moving through
manual.
those gears.
I'm a manual, and even when they brought it out, they got it off of the because when they tune them, they get it to third gear, and that's where they crank it and to get the horsepower.
Yeah.
And, they'll crank it up to 70, 80 miles an hour in third gear, and that's how they get their base. So they got it off of the ramp and brought it out, and John comes out and goes, hey, man, did this thing always feel so weak in first gear? And I was like, no, I mean, I don't know what you're considering.
It felt
weak.
like a Juke in first gear.
Yeah. I mean, it was peppy, but, So I said, let me hop in it, and I get in it, and instantly it was like half throttle. Like if you could floor it, and it just felt half throttle. And he's like, oh, damn it. I put the Z tune wants this particular thing in the throttle response, and he fixed it, and bam, it was great. But so I'm out in there parking a lot, and I hit first gear, and it's spinning. Dude, it's spinning. And I hit second gear, and it's 100,000 miles on this car, and it's probably time for a clutch. And yeah, I could feel it slipping just a little bit when I hit second.
Yeah,
I was
I was gonna ask you how much clutch slip you have with that much horsepower, because
it
probably wants to rip that clutch right out of the bottom of the transmission. Is probably what it wants to do now that it has all that, because we're not talking about thousands of horsepower, but when you're taking a vehicle that's, not doubled, but you're basically added 100 horsepower or 75 horsepower to a car that's designed not to take, that clutch is designed to take 180. So yeah, you have to be able to gently get that thing between the gears for sure. But I bet you that would be so much fun on a track now. It's definitely something you got to do.
Well, I think I talked to you at one point about maybe dumping a new motor in it and stuff, and I think ultimately I'm probably going to sell it this year. I'm going to go have a little bit of fun with it when the spring hits, and then I'm just going to put it up for sale. I'm still going to wrap it. It's going to look crazy when I go to sell it, and so maybe if any of you guys want to buy this thing in the end, you get a little rocket ship, and I don't know. It's a fun car. It's definitely I love stupid cars, and the Juke is ultimately the dumbest looking car you could get, and I just love the silly thing. But I think it will be time for the cross cabriolet or something just stupid silly.
Yeah.
Dan.
No, I think so. They said they want you to hold the camera while I work on the cross cabriolet, and then we'll go get it tuned.
Yeah.
I think that was one of the comments here. It's cracking me up.
Well, Bill Potter talked about the Raptor. He was like, where was it? He said which model was he talking about?
Oh, the
Roush. Yeah.
Roush Raptor, yeah. I've been in one of those. Freaking monster, dude.
The only thing about the
Supercharged.
new Raptors is they just don't sound good, and there's nothing you can do.
The
to
new
make them-
ones?
yeah. The V6, the turbo V6, like it just doesn't sound good.
That was
man.
a huge complaint on a lot of those.
Let's see. Nismorg says, Dave, is there a Titan meet in Tennessee this year? I'm in Central North Carolina. Would love to come over to one. Yes, there is. Oh God, I can't remember what if you've watched the video on the NMP side, that over on Danny's side, there's a video on it. It says they do it every year, in, I believe it's August. So and they have a Facebook group for it, but I'm lost at what they called that meet. The Tennessee or the Nissan.
Is
Titan.
that the one they do in Pigeon Forge?
Yeah, fun time.
Yeah.
Fun time. Good people over there too. A couple more questions, guys, and we are out for the night. Let's see. I'm happy to have Joey Parent in here, man. Joey's been tearing up the chats.
Yeah, loving Joey Parent, man. I can't wait to see him again.
We got
such a good buddy. Anytime I talk to him, I miss him even more. You know?
If you guys are ever in the Boulder, Colorado area, and I don't care if you're a Nissan fan or not, you need to stop at Boulder Nissan and just shout out to Joey and tell him that we sent you over there, because Joey is just like he's just a fun dude to be around, man, and a fun guy to meet. And who doesn't want the Blueberries autograph?
Brailsford Rides mentioned something about the tune on the Ford Rangers. I've seen a couple really rad videos about Ford Rangers getting tuned up, and I saw one where they were pulling like 400 horsepower.
Well, the
out of that motor.
2.7 that I'm getting, they've hit 500 horsepower in that motor.
Yeah, that motor they can really crank some horsepower out of them, which is pretty freaking rad.
Well, the only thing I would say with the 2.7 in the Bronco, of course they've detuned it some. It's going to be around 310 horsepower, 400 foot-pounds of torque though, Dan. So that's pretty nice.
That's going to be sweet.
But I've seen that motor in everything else from 325 to 350 horsepower, and I'm a little disappointed that it's kind of 310 with the Bronco. But
But I think that's more than enough horsepower than what you're going to use. You know what I'm saying? Like in that kind of a segment, you're not going to really be. I mean, it's cool guy factor, but
of course
you're never going to really need that horsepower.
Come on, man. Do I need nearly 250 horsepower in a Nissan Juke? No. But I want it, you know. But me and Luke were talking about. It was like, well, we could hit the trails and during the day and hit the drag strip at night, you know.
Well, you guys don't go fast enough wherever you're wheeling it. So even if you were to take it to Moab or something like that, it's not like you can ever use that horsepower. And it's unless you're going to take it to a drag strip and drag against Priuses. Shout out to Joey Parent when we drag raced a Prius at Vandermeer Speedway.
Let's see. Brailsford Ford Ride says 5.2 in the supercharged in the new Raptor R, which, I don't think I don't know why Ford just hadn't come out and talked about that. I don't think it's much of a secret in that thing. I will say, Danny, and you're into the bro trucks like the Raptors and stuff in your area because you can hit high speed in the desert. Dude, it's a good time to be alive for high-speed, full-size trucks right now, man. I think.
Yeah.
If GM were to ever get off their ass and build something for Silverado, man, it would be so much fun right now.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest things is all these trucks come with a lot of power, and most trucks these days have way more power than you can handle off-road.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So,
which is why that dude in that TRX got in trouble. But he was used to his Raptor, which is a smooth running, V6 turbo V6. But that Hemi, he hit it and just was like took Duke boys to the next level, man.
So most of the guys, they spend all their money. You get a truck, you have the power, so now you just need to be able to use that power. So immediately they'll go and start putting some, we'll call it long travel for a Raptor, which is way more than what a Raptor has. Raptor has 15, 16 inches of travel or whatever. So they'll put long travel on that so that they can actually take that power and they can actually put their foot to the floor while they're in the dirt. And so it's not so much. I mean, it's cool to have the power, but you can't if you can't use it out in the dirt, it doesn't really matter.
Oh,
So
we got
that's the biggest thing out here is you get a good Raptor and you put in some aftermarket stuff to really get it to float on some whoops. And
we got royalty in the house, Dan.
That's the exciting stuff.
We got Alpine Tribe, Mr.
What's up?
Kevin Copeland's in the house. What's up, Kevin? Brailsford Ford Ride says they did an electric Hummer, right? Yeah, there's a EV Hummer coming, but we'll see when
we'll
they actually
see what happens with that. We'll see what that is.
They sold a good story, but they haven't actually developed it. So, did you see where Elon Musk was talking about? A lot of people would give him shit. He was on the Joe Rogan podcast about. They were like, "Oh, that Cybertruck, they'll never get to build it that way." And he come out this past week and said, other than it's just slightly smaller, he's like, "That's the truck, man." So I
have a feeling that he's gonna just do what he wants. Elon has always kind of done what he wanted and made whatever he wanted work. I mean, he's one of the richest guys in the world now, supposedly.
Yeah. Did you hear why he wanted to be that? He set out to be the richest guy in the world because he wants to go to Mars, and he wants to make it happen. And literally, all of his wealth is he's building this wealth to get us to Mars. That's the only reason he wants to build all this wealth. But he did come out on the Rogan podcast and was like, "Hey, man, no, that's what we're building." And so my son he's looking at he's got a Sentra now, and he's getting into the point of his life where he likes cars, which I'm like,
nice.
Yes, finally.
It's about time, Corbs.
Except for his generation likes electric cars, and he's been looking at the little Tesla 3s, and so I've been going through it with him, and we're looking at what it would cost and stuff. And then I'm like, kind of wanting to prod him and go, you need the ludicrous mode, right? Like it's you're gonna want that, right? And so there may be a Tesla in the driveway in the next 6 months to a year, Dan.
Well, Dave, I will say that King of the Hammers this year there was a team with a little Toyota truck. Little Toyota truck. They used Leaf batteries. They used and this is purely garage built, but it was electric, and they ran the whole course. If I remember right, they finished, and they did a quick change battery setup on it. They said it took about 15 minutes to change them in the pits,
right?
Which is really freaking awesome. With no factory support, no any support. They ran the whole thing with their EV. They even pulled somebody out and dragged them around a little bit to help them go.
Well, I noticed in your video, cool. In your video you posted on DeGroot X, man, that one Wrangler looked like he got hung up and just wasn't giving up the dream of getting over that rock.
Well, he was mobbing. I think his YouTube is down to mob. He hit that thing at a solid pace. You see the size of the rock. I think it was buried.
No, not the Gladiator guy. When you were watching the Everyman, looks like Everyman challenge, where there was a Wrangler. You had it in your video. He just got hung up, and he backed it up a little bit, and he wasn't.
Yeah. There's that obstacle is called Chocolate Thunder. And some of those guys, well, I'd say 50 to 70% of those guys are drunk out of their mind, and the amount of people that are cheering them on, or they're actually cheering them to brake or go full throttle so they do brake.
Yeah.
It's the most amazing experience. Like if you've never been out to King of the Hammers and sat on a hillside with 20,000 people who are all half drunk, while the drivers are half drunk and trying to break their trucks.
Next year, man. It's booked. Like I'm coming. Like Kelly was like
next year
when you were like, "Hey, do any of my friends want to go to that?" And I was like, "Hell yeah, I want to go to that this year." Like Kelly was like, "You're not going to that," and I was like,
"You have to go next year."
I kind of want to go, and I'm pretty lucky with my company's like, "Hey, man, yeah, go do whatever. We don't care." And she started looking up tickets, and it was like even last minute tickets was fairly cheap to get out there, man. But
yeah, February is not a big travel month, so Jamie actually wanted to come with me next year too, because the setup that we went to this year is so much better. You're away from all the craziness.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually went.
I kind of drove in commercial, right? It's getting pretty commercialized, and
yeah, and to tell you the truth, down in the lake bed where everybody where Hammertown is, it gets so dusty. It's kind of dangerous, to tell you the truth. Everybody's flying around. Where we are, there's nobody. I mean, we're right next to the race course, and there's like 3 places to go see the race course. But it's just the best way that I've seen so far to experience King of the Hammers. You can go get to a couple of the cool obstacles. They're just down the road from where we're at, but you're away from the wildness, So
Yeah.
it's how I'm going to do it next year for sure. And I got with Jeremy, and I was like, I'm bringing the Nissan crowd out. So I for sure am going to try and bring my entourage out to next year.
Nice. Well, you can book me on that one, man. I'll definitely be there.
For
all
sure.
right. Anything else stood out to you there, Danny? Question wise. Brailsford said, "I watched that
BMW
podcast.
M2, M3, M4 tools moved over to Tesla." I don't know anything about that. Tools, clone the Rogue. I got nothing.
Oh no, Nismorg was talking about the tools where Bradford said Teslas are fun, but most owners are tools.
Oh,
so that's where
I
that
got
was.
you. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, BMW is like a lost cause at the moment, man. They're they don't know what they want to be, man. They're insulting their own people buying them right now. Like literally, their Twitter page is full of just them shitting on their own people. So, and that stupid bean keeps getting the bean's going to be the whole car. I think by next year.
The kidneys are like the size. Alpine Tribe, bring the pool. That's a throwback to when somebody made a pool out of the back of my truck.
That was one of the best pranks, man. That really
it'll
was.
happen. It was one. I'd say that's the best prank I've ever seen.
Yeah. That was Cody, wasn't it? Cody Fletcher got your. He
Cody
converted
and
Dan's.
Richard.
He converted Dan's back of Dan's truck into a swimming pool without Dan knowing. And
in a parking lot, and then I rode in it while it was driving, and I had a floaty on and everything. What a great time!
Let's see, San Diego. How do I convince the wife that the Sasquatch package is the way to go? The way I see, if you want a vehicle nowadays, and if it's a high priced vehicle, and this is the vehicle for you, if you do not buy what you want, that you can afford, by the way, you got to be able to afford this. You're always going to regret. You're going to look at that vehicle out in your driveway and be like, well, that's cool, but it's not what I wanted. You're never going to be happy with that vehicle. And in 2 years down the road, you're going to be trying to trade this thing and you're going to lose your ass, whatever happens. If the Sasquatch package is where you want to be, whether you ever use it or not, that's where you need to be. I will say that I was researching some stuff on the gearing for me is the king of Sasquatch. Anybody can put 35s under a vehicle, but having it factory geared the way I want it, and the front and rear lockers, that's what's king for me in my Black Diamond build. But I mean, you can shove 35s under it without it. I just think that if that's what you're kind of heart set on, if you don't do it, if you always buy the cheapened down version, say you wanted a Bronco. You just knew like the Badlands was the one I want. Sure, it's $55,000, but I live on a $25,000 budget or whatever, and so you're like, well, I can just get the base. I would save up for an extra year or so, save the down payment, and get into the vehicle you want, man. I don't. Danny, where are you at with that? Do you feel like just getting into your dream vehicle is good, or do you want to get into the dream vehicle that you want?
Well, yeah, the Sasquatch package. I think who said it? Kevin just said the name Sasquatch. If you can get a Sasquatch package on anything, you have to get it. If you're gonna spend the money, spend the money. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Dream vehicle, yeah. Like if Nissan said, "Hey, we're gonna build the Frontier. If you want the Yeti package," I'd say, "Yeah, give me the Yeti package." Yeah, that's a super throwback.
Very throwbacky. That between that and the vibrating Hummer seats.
Yeah.
For me. But if you're capable of buying it, I say get what you want. Do it smartly though. Don't ruin your budget. Don't create. I know more broken families from just because of money issues than anything. So do it within your budget. But if you can afford it, do it. Let's
yeah.
let's see. There was something else. Yeah, do a bass Sasquatch. I have no problem with that because I've said it. Radios mean nothing to me anymore. I don't need the 12-inch screen is awesome. I don't need it. Like as long as it plays a radio, plays my podcast or what I'm listening to, who cares? Let's see. Yes, Alpine says you will spend more money to upgrade it than it is just to buy it. So I totally agree with that. Bill Potter says you have not arrived until you can buy what you want and then drive it like it's a rental. I would definitely agree with that, man. The older I get, that's the thing with age, man. Yeah, there's youthfulness is fun. You're daredevil. You go out there and be dumb and then you got consequences. I will say with age, I can go buy something stupid expensive, and I'm not rich by any means. But there's the consequences are like, well, if I broke it, I'm just a dumbass, and
Yeah.
oh well.
And the thing is, too, Dave, is some packages are stupid, where it's like you get some Bilstein shocks and some bigger tires.
Yeah.
The NA package has legitimate expensive parts that if you were to do it yourself, you're going to spend just as much and or more on some aftermarket stuff.
You're talking about the Sasquatch package?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're getting 5 full-size tires, 35-inch tires, front and rear lockers.
Yeah, the lockers are a huge part. That's
and
not
it's
cheap,
geared.
you know?
It's geared for those 35s. So, and even if it's, I know because I may put 37s on mine. At least it's geared for 35. So when I put 37s on it, it's not a dog trying to drive it. You know. So, let's see. No problem, man. I'm glad to help. YouTube Car Spotter says 99 months to pay. I don't know about that. Joe Taylor, thank you for being around. Let's see. Guys, I think that's about it for tonight, Dan. I'm about that's 2 hours and 20.
Yeah, my wife is for sure upset.
Well, guys, go check out Danny's DeGroot X for all of his adventure stuff. Go check out the Nissan Nation Productions for anything cool that Danny does Nissan-wise. Instagram, both Nissan Nation Productions for Instagram for Dan, DeGroot X for Danny's super silly stuff. And thanks for coming along. I've got a couple more videos. I'm trying to wean myself off the Bronco videos for a minute unless Ford just does something really stupid. There's not a lot to talk about, which I actually read some stupid stuff they were doing tonight before I got onto this. But look for the new build and price videos. If there's something that you're interested in that you may want to see in my driveway in the next couple years, let me know. The bigger this channel gets, the more fun I can have and bring stupid content to you. So from all things 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive. Oh wait, Dan, I saved just a little bit for this.
I have one sip left as well.
It does not matter what you drive because this is your Nissan Nation. And what are we, Danny?
Oh,
Peace, everybody. See y'all next week.